Hello, everyone. Welcome. I want to welcome you today to the second event in our series, Communities for Future, Good Food for All. Today's event is dedicated to women, communities, and food. We set it for the 9th of March to mark also International Women's Day, but as well to link it to our ongoing projects and campaigns. We'll be starting in a few minutes, making sure that everyone who wants to join has the time to connect. My name is Anastasia Oprea. I'm a project and campaign officer for Communities for Local Green Deals project. And I'm happy to see you here today. If you would like to change your name as it shows on screen to your name, country, and organization, that will help us very much with our reporting for this event, but also to connect with the other people present and know more about each other. Thank you, Maria, for breaking the ice on the chat. As you have seen, this event is recorded. We will later share it on the ECOLISE YouTube channel. So if you do not wish to appear in the recording, please keep your cameras off. Otherwise, we'll consider this having the camera on as your agreement to be featured in the recording. I'm happy to see that we have here participants also from the Food and Agriculture Organization. Sarina, welcome. Welcome Isa from Urgency. She will also be participating in the roundtable. A few words about the event today. We will start with very brief presentations on the participatory process that ECOLISE has been engaging with so that we could reach our policy positioning in regards to food. I will then make the link between today's event and, like I said, International Year of the Woman Farmer and the Communities for Local Green Deals project, under which this event is happening. We will then engage in a practice presentation with Annette Flinterman and Irina Kazakova, and then we will go on and have a discussion, a roundtable with Isa Alvarez, Irina Kazakova, on the topics we are discussing today. And to close this session, I will invite you to sign the European Citizens Initiative on the Right to Food, which is ongoing. So without further ado, I think we can start. Please feel free to write your comments in the chat, but also to ask questions in the dedicated spaces. You can either write your question in the chat or raise your hand and speak directly with our invitees today. So again, welcome to the Europe that we want, women, food and communities, what pathway towards sustainability. This event is part of the advocacy campaign Communities for Future, Good Food for All, and is organized within the Communities for Local Green Deals project. The team which made this event possible is made of Katerina Bukoyanis, who is the policy lead and Communities for Local Green Deals project manager, Pauline Tan, our communications and social media officer, and Erika Setes, events and tech support officer. They will be making sure that everything goes well today and sending you the necessary links on the chat. So thank you to my colleagues for their work and for being with us here today to support us. As I was saying, this event was set for this day to mark the International Women's Day, but also to bring into the discussion the Year of the Women Farmer 2026, We will hear more about this and see a bit of the context that this gives us for the topics that we're discussing today, women, food, and communities. But we're also organizing this event in support of the European Citizens Initiative Right to Food, which we invite you all to read and to sign. We believe building alliances is essential for making the most out of this political momentum and to advance the idea that food is a right for all. And we already know that women have a very important role in this, and especially in the work being done to produce food and to democratize food systems. So we will discuss more about this today. If Katarina is ready, I will give her the floor to tell us a bit more about the participatory policy positioning and inclusive alliance building that ECOLISE has experienced on the topic of food.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Tasia, for organizing the session. So I'm here to introduce you a little bit about how we do policy and advocacy in ECOLISE and how we decided to join this campaign. So to begin with, ECOLISE is a network, a wide network of community-led initiatives. So in order to decide on our positionings, our policy positionings, we follow a participatory policy positioning process, which aims to showcase the diversity of community-led initiatives and their solutions to different topics. So this is how our part of our members join as editorial board members, and they are selected through a selection process, and they give the guidance, the thematic coherence, and they shape the content. And then a wider group of members joined to give their thematic expertise in different sessions. So we had 10 editorial board members and more than 70 organizations joining and more than 180 people that gave their feedback. That resulted into this, Reclaiming the Future of Foods, a collaboratively written manifesto for community-led food system transformation that spans among different topics from local and regional food systems to governance to soil education, enabling the just transition, and so on. And the next step for us as a network is to engage in a wider network of community-led advocacy, which is why we engaged in the European Citizens Initiative Good Food for All, which already has more than 281 members, which we are endorsing, and we are inviting you to sign to reach the 1 million goal to guarantee that every citizen has the highest standards for food quality. So thank you for joining, and please sign the ECI.
Thank you very much, Katarina. I'm sure that Pauline will also share the link in the chat for the ECI. She's already shared the link to our policy positioning paper. So we invite you to read it and to see if it resonates with your own positioning. And if you would like to engage with ECOLISE on this pathway, please contact us in the coming days. And now, moving forward, I would like to share my presentation. Like I was saying, contextualizing today's topic in relation to the International Year of the Women Farmer, sharing some resources that might be useful to you, and overall to understand a bit better what we're aiming to do here today. I will start my presentation. For today, thinking about the Europe that we want, I'll bring the topic of food women, food, and communities. But also, I would like for all of us to ask ourselves, what are the pathways towards sustainability coming from this perspective? As I was saying, this event and the campaign, Communities for Future Good Food for All, takes place within the project Communities for Local Green Deals, or COM4LGD, which is a European project that addresses the intertwined climate, environmental, and social challenges that Europe faces today. The project focuses on empowering communities to drive sustainable, democratic, and just transformation at the local level, engaging citizens, building cooperation between communities and local governments, and ensuring inclusive participatory action across all 27 member states. The project is ongoing and is rooted in transformative social innovation and socio-environmental justice values, fostering deep debate, collective scenario planning, and gender mainstreaming, aiming to strengthen a transnational network of grassroots community initiatives, as ECOLISE is doing in general. And as Katerina was saying, we're also doing within the Good Food for All European Citizens Initiative and Alliance. We're also aiming to increase accountability of decision makers to community input and to empower citizens to actively implement climate and sustainability actions in their own environment. But also we're aiming to promote gender equality as essential for systemic change, for example, through events like the one today. As I was mentioning, the International Year of the Woman Farmer is a very important designation for this year, and it brings the focus and the highlight into the vital economic, social, and developmental contributions of women farmers, aiming also to raise awareness regarding this contribution. I think we can all agree that women farmers and women peasants play a key role in ensuring food security, improving nutrition, increasing sustainability, and eradicating poverty. So the International Year of the Women Farmer thus calls for an increased recognition of these contributions, and also very importantly, increased investment in their empowerment. Some quick facts from the Food and Agriculture Organization. Women make up 41% of the global agri-food workforce, which is close to half of it. However, in the EU, only 1/3 of the farm managers are women, while at the same time, structural inequalities continue to limit their access to land, finance, technology, training, as well as decision-making. We also know that women farmers and rural women and women peasants have high unpaid care work burdens, which undermine their labor market participation, their economic empowerment, as well as their physical and mental well-being. The prevalence of food security is consistently higher among women. This is true globally and across regions. And reducing these gender disparities in employment, education, and income could eliminate more than half of the food insecurity gap. At the same time, empowering rural women through targeted development interventions and funding could raise incomes for 58 million people and boost resilience for more than 200 million. However, this is potential yet to be tapped in. And here on the right-hand side, I have the motto of the International Year of the Woman Farmer, which is Empowered Women Transforming Agri-Food Systems. So, to assist with achieving these goals, empowering women for sustainable agri-food systems, I want to share with you some resources which were produced within 2 European Horizon projects, which have ended in December 2025. The 2 projects are FLIARA, Female-Led Innovation in Agriculture and Rural Areas, and Grass Sealing, Gender Equality in Rural and Agriculture Innovation Systems. You have there the websites, which I believe they're shared on the chat as well. The type of resources created during these 2 projects, besides research, regional research, and living labs, are, for example, the FLIARA Toolkit, which is designated to help women innovators, policy advisors, rural organizations, including local action groups, researchers, and anyone interested in sustainable and inclusive rural economy to support women-led innovation in agriculture and rural areas. The toolkit contains useful concepts, project findings from FLIARA, information about innovation ecosystems, multimedia resources and training resources, as well as a gender-specific guide to female-led innovation. This is a user-ready and user-friendly tool which contains innovation stories, pathways, and impacts aimed to support women empowering themselves and putting into practice their innovation, as well as innovation lessons for practice and policy, which is a section aimed mostly for policy and decision makers and is also ready to use. Other resources from the FLIARA toolkit include a policy booklet, policy briefs for 10 EU countries, as well as innovator and ambassadors fact sheet, as well as our complete list of deliverables. The resources from grass sealing that I would like to highlight are the Living Labs, which can be found on the website, the Online Academy, which includes a massive online open course, as well as a webinar. They're still running, at least the massive online open course, a policy forum, as well as other resources, namely fact sheets and deliverables. I would like to highlight here as well the policy toolkit for inclusive agriculture and rural development, which again should be very useful and ready to use for whoever would like to either engage in rural development as a woman or support women engaging in agriculture and rural development. But most importantly, regarding these projects, I want to invite you to get inspired and empowered, and to do so by listening to the stories of the women who were chosen as ambassadors and innovators, specifically in the FLIARA project. On the FLIARA website, you can have access to video testimonies from 20 ambassadors, as well as to podcast episodes regarding the challenges and opportunities that the women innovating rural areas in agriculture have found. And I think their input is very, like I was saying, inspiring. So what we want to do today and throughout our campaign, Communities for Future Good Food for All, is to support women farmers and with rural women and women peasants to participate and build solidarity networks. So feel free to contact the people present here today and engage in direct exchanges. We also want to foster leadership and empowerment. We want to promote inclusive community-based solutions, as well as to empower women farmers as agents of change in climate resilience and regeneration, and to promote intergenerational and intercultural knowledge exchange. We can see that these objectives very much overlap the objectives of the International Year of the Women Farmer, but also the objectives of our project Communities for Local Green Deals. So this is our proposal for today. And this is because we believe that women's rights and empowerment are, together with food sovereignty, they're together, they're intertwined, and more than that, together, if we work on these aspects, we can bring about more climate resilience, but also go for political engagement, be it on the topic of women in rural areas in agriculture, women farmers, or on the topic of good food for all. And to do so, I want to invite you all to come together today and think about these topics and, and think about how we can put this topic on the table, right? The topic of women farmers, of sustainability, of community, so that we can see how we can make the future better for all of us, and to think about what is the actual Europe that we want with these topics at the center: women, food, and communities. And this is all from my side for now. Are there any questions at this time? If not, I will invite you all, those who want, to please turn on your cameras so that we can take a picture all of us together here today. And Eric will tell us when to put our smiley faces on.
So in 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you very much for that. Moving forward, we'll have a very special moment now where we have ECOLISE members and allies presenting their experiences and practices, which showcase women's role, women's leadership, and inclusive feminist practices linked with food, sustainability at local, everyday level in community-led initiatives. The first person who will share with us her experience is Annette Flinterman, who was born in the Netherlands, where she lived until 2009 when she moved to Germany. She has a professional background in international food industry alongside early involvement in local politics in the Netherlands. She currently lives in Rhineland-Palatinate and is active within the initiative Almost for Future, Solar Camp for Future, as well as being a qualified permaculture and life coach, permaculture designer and life coach. Annette is a representative of an ECOLISE member, and I will give her the floor. Welcome, Annette.
Yes, thank you, Anastasia, for the introduction. Yeah, I'm representing the German Permaculture Institute, and yeah, today I'd like to tell a little bit what I've been doing. I moved to where I live, Oudenheim am Glaan, just about 1.5, 2 years ago, and directly got active with the Almost for Future. Because it suited very much to what I did in Hennef, working as a climate protection manager. Now to be more engaged here with what I can do for protecting the climate, as well as since we moved past the 1.5 degrees, to kind of see what else we can do to reduce that. I can tell you a little bit about our village. Can I share my screen? Let me see where I've got that. So where I live in the village, it's a really tiny village. Some of the things we have here, and some of them were set up also by some of the volunteers, including a very active Oma, grandmother for Future, which is, for example, we've got 2 different apps where we are selling or giving away products, but it also includes foodstuffs. On the right-hand side, you see one. It's either foods that were people aren't deciding, okay, we're not going to eat it, or sometimes people cook too much, and at least it's shared and not thrown away. See, and we also have a Solari here. It's I'm not sure what the English name is, but at least it's Solari Solidarische Landwirtschaft. And that's basically you become a member, and you pay a fixed amount every month to the farmers who are growing your food. And that continues also in the winter months when they're kind of growing the new foods, but you won't get your veggies from the land, but you just have to wait. So normally the season runs from the end of March till the end of December, around Christmas time. So in here you can see a little bit of the village, and where you see the tunnels, that's the Solari. And here's also one of the houses next to the sheds, and this is how it looks like at the moment. And the big tunnel you see over there, and again, it's important to have a good community because it had to be moved. Last month, we just moved it forward to a new part of the field in 2 minutes. So if you get together, you can do things a little bit faster than if you do it one by one. And we've got a little shop there in the next to the farm as well, where people can. It's open a few days a week, but members also have a key to get in there. And then next to it, we also have a community garden. Here you see a view up to from a walk last Sunday. And there, it's a whole group of us that started sharing the different parts of the garden. Here you see the entrance to it. There's a little side, kind of little foresty thing as well, with some apple trees. Yeah, we're still wondering. There's a compost toilet there, and you've got some other bushes around there, and there's also kind of for. It's basically where we start growing up the smaller trees and bushes, fruit bushes for the garden, the community garden, or for other areas in the village. And here you see a few of us, me as well, working on some of the fields last year. And on the left, you see a pizza oven, which is also used a lot. And this is a few people last month started. We often have this kind of gatherings together where we eat and by the fire after having done the work. And actually, I started doing a dance, which was used by an organization called IFM, which is an initiative for freedom and musical culture. And part of this was part of a larger video they showed to promote some of the festivals for democracy in our region, because we are close to the votes. And also the OMAs against rights and the OMAs for future. We're part of that, working on that together. So it's all very much intertwined here in our community. Oh. So I'll leave that for later. We have a village shop, again, something, if you're living in the village, in a rural area, sometimes for people who are getting a bit older, or it's more difficult to get to the shops, and why drive to the next village if you can do something in your own village. So this is where it is, and there's a few images of it. And that's again run by volunteers. Some of the products, the veggies are coming from the farm, and some from other organic food stores. And also here you see there's a logo of the OMAs, and OPAs are invited as well, the grandparents for future. And on the right, what you see is a booklet, which was produced by the OMAs for Future. And it was published last year, end of October. And in November, we started off with a kind of reading day in schools, ground schools. And I've been reading as well. The whole idea of the grandparents basically is to teach the grandchildren a little bit more about a positive future, how we can change it, and how and what good examples there are. And I also took some samples of soil to go into, because it's all about a rainbow. How do you call them? Worm. The ones that live in the ground. I forgot the English name for it. But anyway, we try to teach them a little bit about that as well. And one of the things as well we have is every year there's a day where we talk about this different stands about the future, and for that, together with another organization, you see on the right, you see that kind of it's a flyer about good foods and what you should have on your plate and not. And here's a little bit more about that flyer, about what you should eat with your meals and what should be good. And it's all for food to support, again, about the climate, right? And that we don't, it's not only health, but it's also healthy for the planet. That we don't eat too many other things, too much meat and things like that. And because of the thing to kind of make it a bit more usable, again, for adults and for kids, some games. Here's a game, for example, where there are some questions and things, and they can put some cards about that, of what you can, what suits best for a meal, and people can think about it and talk about it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play it myself, so I can't tell details, but you can play around with things like that to make it a bit more visible for people and understandable. And also as part of that, we almost developed this table. So for example, about eating nice, but for a healthy planet, what you should eat per day in terms of grams and potatoes, veggies, fruits, kind of meat, maybe one portion of 200 grams of of chicken per week, eggs, fish, whatever. So that's some of the things that we've been doing, organizing here. And the next idea is I've just launched. I'm not quite sure if I'm getting it, but a few years ago I saw this image of Hub Ren, which was used in London by Amy Skive, which I already transformed in a climate mobile for the city of Hennef, where I work as a climate protection manager in. So I've now asked, and I hope we get it by the end of the month, the approval for democracy mobile. I get to have a cargo bike, but then there's books about different topics about democracy, how to eat, also including things like how you can do some fermenting of food to keep it longer. And we want to do some workshops, cooking, making it into glasses, etc. And the sharing all those ideas and recipes with others. So that's our idea. Any questions? Otherwise, I hand over to Anastasia.
Thank you very much, Annette. It was very interesting to hear about what Almost for Future are doing and your community work in the village. I want to thank you particularly for reminding us that embodied community-led action also is about bringing back joy and dance into our political and everyday work. Also that intergenerational support and exchange is essential, right? For creating this sustainable future. And very importantly, that education for sustainability is always the starting point in creating awareness and developing the practices needed to bring this future about. So if there are any questions for Annette, you can either write them on the chat or raise your hand and ask them directly. Okay. Thank you very much, Annette. We'll be moving forward, but if you have any questions that come in the meantime, feel free to share them on the chat. The next practice we will hear about will be presented by Irina Kazakova from Permaculture Ukraine. Irina has a background in agriculture economics and management and joined Permaculture Ukraine in 2019, becoming part of a movement led mostly by women. She coordinates the network of educational permaculture centers and trains vulnerable groups in food growing and developing sustainable households. Irina also serves as an agriculture expert at the Center for Environmental Initiatives, EcoAction Ukraine. In this role, she bridges grassroots practices with policy advocacy, promoting ecological principles and sustainable tools amidst the challenges of war and climate change. So I'll give the word to Irina.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that the presentation of me would be longer than my presentation about permaculture in Ukraine, but yeah, thank you. Actually, the picture is on the screen, and I would like to tell a few words. So, Permaculture in Ukraine is a non-government organization. It is already it was born in 2011, I would say, and many different people joining in different times and brought something new. But right now we have 4 main pillars that our organizational stay on. The first one, of course, it is educational. We have we conduct at least one PDC course a year, and the last years even twice a year. And for me, it's very important that even during war times, people have this interest and join such courses, would like to have this knowledge about land restoration, and we have growing interest in it. We have different online webinars that our teachers and our designers offer to everybody. And of course, we have different courses in each of our permaculture centers. And this is our second pillar, the network of educational permaculture center that are all around Ukraine. It's around 15 different locations. Some of them more active, some of them less, but in general, this is our kind of internal community that move organizational forward. And of course, all of them were started just households or farms or places where people wanted to practice permaculture. But from 2022, after full-scale invasion in Ukraine, they become kind of humanitarian centers, because these places, they hosted people, they grow more food to be able to feed people around. Some of them preserve food and send to soldiers on the front line. And in very natural way, right now we have another switch, and each of those centers who continue to work and continue to practice permaculture, they became rehabilitational centers. And each of these centers have its own specialization. For example, one of them can work with animals and people. Another work just with children. The third one worked just with women who lost their husbands or fathers or children in the war, and they help those people. So each center has something where it focused, and it works really. The third pillar, it is science. And I am really proud of this. The first head of our organization, Pavlo Ordanov, he has he developed this pillar amazingly. He worked on he created School of Agroecology, and this school unite not only Ukraine, as I know, they work in pair with Germany University on it. It also provides some course on polycultures, and all this knowledge are available, so everything on YouTube channel. This is very high level scientific knowledge that structured in very nice way. So if you would like to practice something, please use it. And with Pavlo, we organized more than 5 conferences already, international one that unite all countries of Visegrad region and all others who wanted to join. And the last pillar, it is design, permaculture design. It would be weird if we do not have this, but it was some time when we had not enough designers to offer this like a service to people, and now we have this capacity. So we have a few designers teams that can work in different region, and we already done 3 designs for town for elderly people who fled the war, for one block where live people with physical disabilities, and for ordinary school. And all these projects are very interesting, and we continue to work with them. And thanks to our partners, we work with Danish Permaculture Association. So we are going to make 3 more such public spaces this year and next year. So this is mainly all our activities. If you have any questions, I can answer. But I hope that I could present it a little bit and to share what we are doing.
Thank you very much, Irina. And while we wait a few minutes maybe to see if there are any questions. I would like to say that I am and have been impressed since all the work started in relation to the war. And I think it's impressive that under all the pressure that you are subjected to, you do find the energy and the inspiration to continue with permaculture and to use it also as a driving force to not just survive, but to create already a future that you'd like to live once peace is achieved, right? And I think that's quite impressive and incredible work. And I imagine it takes a toll emotionally. So I want you to know that we're standing with you and we support you in this work. And I also want to say that I think this is clearly an example of how the permaculture principles work, right? That we don't just cultivate food and grow food, but we also want to cultivate positive and restorative human relations. And I was thinking about this when you were mentioning the recovery centers, and how you support the war effort with the food that you grow in these centers, but also how you exchange information, right, and knowledge, and you still create knowledge within all this very difficult context. So if there are any questions, I'm not sure I can see if there are raised hands, but I guess you can just, thank you, jump in. Otherwise, we will also hear Irina in the roundtable. And that's another moment where you can share your thoughts. So the roundtable that we have prepared for today is about collective strategies for how to further organize for regenerative, peaceful, and inclusive futures. The speakers for the roundtables beside Irina is Alvarez Bispo, who is the President and Advocacy Officer for Urgency, the International Network for Local Solidarity-Based Partnerships for Agroecology and Community-Supported Agriculture. She is an educator, food sovereignty expert, and agroecologist, dedicated to supporting rural development and agroecological projects through research and training, both at national and international level. She is active also at national level in Spain, working with Zambra Balandre, the coordination of struggles against social exclusion. She's also a lecturer at the International University of Andalusia, where she teaches a module on political agroecology as part of the master's program in agroecology. So welcome, Isa. Thank you for joining us today. And I think you wrote there that you're in Euskal Herria, Basque Country, right? So ongi etorri. And without further ado, I will go into the questions. Our second respondent, like I already mentioned, is Irina, and I'm sure that both of them together will give us a quite clear picture of what we can do to further support gender equality in rural development, agriculture, and overall see the contribution that women bring to these areas. So my first question draws again on the International Year of the Women Farmer, which, as we saw, highlights persistent gender inequalities, especially in land access, income, unpaid care work, and exposure to climate impact. So I want to ask both of you, Irina and Isa, in your experience, what concrete practices have community-led initiatives developed to reduce gender inequalities in these areas, and where do you still encounter structural barriers?
Irina, do you want to go? Me? Okay, I can start. Okay, thank you, and thank you for having me in this space. Thank you very much. And well, considering I think we are doing a lot of things. It's not easy to speak after Irina because it's super impressive to hear what are you doing in your circumstances. No, I think but for me, it's an evidence that when we are talking about the agroecology, when we are talking about right to food, we are talking about life, no, and we are talking on how we sustain the life, no, for everyone in different levels, each one from our space, no, but we are trying to sustain each other and how we survive, no, in this crazy world, considering our different contexts, no. So yeah, so for me, I think we are doing many things, no, and before we were listening examples like Solavi or others in Germany, and I think that from different spaces and considering this community approach, what we are doing is to create different relationships with our food and with our with our territories, no, and considering the territories, the material territories, the land, the biodiversity, the water, but also the immaterial, no, the knowledge, the culture that we have around the food, no, putting all these things at the same level, no, and also making visible the invisible parts of the food systems, no, and the different tasks and the different works of the food systems, no. For example, when we talk about the women farmer, no, we always talk, of course, about the unpaid care work, and of course, it's something that is we have many evidence, but it's also unpaid productive work, because the women are already in the farms. They are working there. And for example, in Spain, and I look for the data. Only the 65% of work in agriculture is paid work, and the rest is under the concept of family support, no, which is a legal concept that was created, and it makes sense when we had big families and we went to help our families in some moments, no, of the seasons for the harvest or for other things. It can make sense, but the reality is that this became a concept that allows to have people working for free within the farms, and most of them are women, no. So we are under this patriarchal concept. We are this family support, no. Even if we are I say work because I live in the rural area, and I am part of a small project, a CSA project, and I consider as part of the project, but I'm not farmer. But even if the women are working the same hours with their families, most of times with their husband, or they have no rights, no. So, and this is legal, no, because we have this concept, no. And so this is something that is not only, of course, we need to make visible the unpaid care work, but we need to make visible also the unpaid work that we are doing, no, for love, no, because it's all of this is part of the same construction, no, that we have. And the second part is that I think that we are identifying also the different levels of transformation that we need, no, because we are advocating for public policies. Of course, we need the access to land. We need to change a lot of things at public policies level, but we need to change also. But it's impossible to change the public policies if our organizations, our initiatives are not equal, no, and also if in our houses we have to fight in our, how to say, in the kitchen, no, for our so we have different levels of how to say, of advocacy, no, our families, our towns, our territories, the close the more close people that we have, then our organizations, because we cannot, how to say, we cannot say, okay, as we are working on agroecology or on permaculture, we are feminist. This is not true. No, we need to make, and we cannot suppose that everything is done only because we are ecologists or we are no. We know that our own initiatives many times are not fair and not equal, no, for us. So we are making visible these different levels and working on all of them, creating our own spaces where we can talk about the problems that we have as women and other diversities. I think that one thing that we are doing is learning that the feminists are multiple and diverse, no? So I think this is important. And answering the question about the barriers that are a lot, but I think that, of course, one important is the different violences that we are crossing by. And sometimes the physical violence, the war. Well, how can you participate? How can you transform things if you are under huge violence? No, how to do it? But also the symbolic violence, the structural violence. No, these public policies that not consider women as part of they are totally invisible. Sometimes we can read the paragraph, no, in the public policy, and you read all the paragraph, and at the end you see, especially youth and women, no, we are like the last part of the sentence, but without specific policies for us, no. And the other big issue for us is the time, no, because how can we participate? How can we find the time if we have these multiple tasks, no, the care work, the also the productive work, and also the participation, no, while we are transforming the world, our reality. How can we find the time to do it? No, is the I don't know, the loop, no, that we are living in, no. So yeah, these are my first answers, and I leave here because I think we will have more questions. So thank you. I hope you could understand me. Thank you.
Very much, Isa. Thank you. Yes. I'm going to give the word to Irina now to answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Isa. Actually, I really like the numbers you named about paid and unpaid work. I haven't found something like this in Ukraine, but I have found another report that was presented in 2021, 1 year before the big war started, and. Yeah, it's interesting that in general, globally, women are like 15% of landholders in the world, and in European Union the situation is better. It's around 30%. In Ukraine, before the war, it was worse. It was just around 21%. But if we would like to go deeper and go outside of cities just to normal kind of classical household, in that area we have more than 50% women who run their own not farms, but like backyards, something like this. And of course, it just one picture. Another picture that when we are moving further to farmers, to farms, bigger farms, we have to say that our barriers are also the same like in Europe. We have the same salary gap, around 20% between men and women. In our data, we can see that the how it's called? Oh my God. The size of plot of women is twice smaller than men's plot. And that creates another circle, because if you have no enough land, you will not get the loan, you will not have the money, you can't help yourself with irrigation of your plant, you can't you will not have access to machinery or something like this, so you kind of stuck in your small land and can't move on, and you can be more protected from climate crises or something like this. And I think it is one of the biggest barrier that women farms have comparing with men's one. And but I would say that when I'm talking about this, I'm talking already about our past, because at least in our country, the war transformed all this system, and because of many men were mobilized to serve, women start to make all this kind of man job. They become agronomists, soil scientists. They become, they start drive tractors or something like this. So they completely change the situation. And on the one hand, we can say that they just replace their fathers, their husbands or brothers. But on the other hand, I would say that this is amazingly situation that shows how right now women can transform the whole system, the whole food system in Ukraine, and it is happening right now. When we're talking about some practices to reduce this gender inequalities, it was I don't know, maybe it is the same in your countries, but permaculture leads mainly by women. Biodynamic agriculture, all these NGOs and farms that follow this strategy, they also leads by women. Organic farming, it's also presents mainly by women. The slow food movement, again, so all kind of alternative movements, they are led by women. And for me, this means that women, that all this climate change, all these geopolitical changes, changes in this area in general, they have women faces. But of course, we can compare and we can compete with big enterprises and agro holdings. Of course, they have more value in the eyes of state in public. So yeah, but yeah. One more thing that I think is very important. The organic farmers and organic organization in Ukraine, they have their own report about statistic, and they had really much more better situation in describing organic farms, and they have less gaps, more equal size of lands, more women in charge. So I think it is future. All these alternative movements, it is our future, and we can use it right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina, for such a realistic and also positive input from your side. So just want to highlight some of the points here. I had written down what Isa said, that for women, the work never stops, right? It starts from our kitchens, it goes through our organizations, and then into our agricultural work or political organizing work. So it's quite the burden that women are under. Nevertheless, as Irina noticed, change also has the face of women, and the future of sustainable agriculture goes through recognizing the women's contribution in contrast or in comparison with agribusiness and the less sustainable practices. And I want to link this with our policy recommendation, the ECOLISE policy recommendation number 4 from our policy positioning paper, which calls for recognizing agriculture and farming as a public service and a form of ecological stewardship, which is, I think, what you've both been hinting on. And in doing so, also guaranteeing equitable work and social protection, as we've seen that permaculture can, or agroecology can do. So what would it take then, politically and institutionally, for women's leadership in these initiatives that you mentioned, and in community-led and agroecological food initiatives, to be recognized and materially supported as such?
Okay, I go first again. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is an exam question, but I will try to answer. Yeah, and I think it's for me the simple answer is that we need from public policies new approaches that recognize that care works sustains everything. And also that the main difference between agroecological model and agrochemical model is the care of our territory and the care of people also, no? And but this is the simple one that we need the recognition of care as something very valuable, no, because now is the second or the third category. No, the care is something that is there because it has been historically linked with women, and this is part of the heteropatriarchy construction. No, but and I think this is important, and I think it's important. I hear in Irina, no. I was remembering, it's not the same situation, of course, but here in Spain during the 70s and also after the 2000 years, we have migrations in different parts of Spain because different situations, no? And the situation was super similar because the men went to the migration, and in the rural areas, women were the people that stayed there, and they started to be the face of the agriculture in these areas, no? And this was really interesting phenomenon. But the point is when the men came back, no, because when they came back, they had to negotiate, no, where are you now and where will you be, no? And in many cases, it was interesting because the women had created very strong network between them to support between them, because of course the situation was very different. I don't want to compare war with migration, but the point is where they come back, no, and the situation that you face when they come back, because many times, okay, you replace them. It's not a real change, no, it's a change of face. I don't want to say that it's not possible. It's possible because in many cases it was, but that is the challenge. And it's the challenge because when you negotiate, you are negotiating the productive work with the care work and with other tasks that are not at the same level, no? that don't have the same recognition. So because it's an structural construction. So I think this is important, no? And I think, at least for me, are like 4 pillars, no? For this one is the recognition of all the tasks that support and sustain the life in a farm, the productive work and the other, the care works and everything that sustains really the farm. But okay, the recognition is necessary, but also the redistribution of the work, no? Because we need the recognition, but we need to distribute the timing and the tasks, and how can we live together in a better way, no? All of us, not so I think the distribution is the second part. Then is the representation, no? Our representation in the spaces of governance and decision-making processes, no? Again, we have the challenge of the time, but at least we need the legitimacy to be there, no? And sometimes we don't have, because we are not the owners of the land, or we are not, in many cooperatives, you have to be the owner of the land, to be the partner of the cooperative. So, and you only can have one partner per each farm. So we need to find new ways for representation, no, for equal representation. And the other one is the remuneration, is that we need to have a balance in our incomes. If we are working all the day, we need to have at least the enough remuneration for our lives, no? So I think these are, for me, the different pillars to look, no, at the transformation that we need, and how to work around it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isa. I'm going to Irina now.
Yeah, thank you. I was, it's very hard to find something after what Isa say. You have such a global thinking. But also, you force me to think about really the differences in situations between our country, and I was thinking that here is 2 points. The first one, that many women, since full invasion started, launched their farms. So they were the owners on the very beginning, just because they moved from, for example, one place to another without anything, and they had to start something. Yeah, and I think these women really redesigned the system. And another point is that many men will not back. So those women who replaced someone, there is a big chance that they stay on their place. But also, I had very nice example when the wife who moved started her farm, and when her husband returned from the front line, he just started to help her. And right now they're a couple who lead the amazing, very ecological farm with cows who are working the whole year outside, and that's so wonderful. So they had this support. But I'm sorry, it was just my short thoughts. Back to the recognizing, and I really think this is a very important question, and all these new things, they can't be just symbolic. We really have to work on very deep and ground level. And the first theme that I wanted to mention is that all agricultural policies, they measure success on productivity and output. And very often what women-led initiatives do is about society, about restoration, regeneration, and we can't measure it in the same way. That's very interesting. Recently, I heard a thought of one farmer who said, if I have a land and if I have a sunflower on this land, I will have one amount of gain. So if you offer me something else, I will calculate, will I have the same amount of money if I do something else instead of growing sunflower? And this is the most high productivity culture that completely destroyed the soil. We all knew this. So how we can compare and how we can we have to replace these policies in supporting in donation what they offered, comparing to those what women can offer, and probably this is switched to how it's called, services, ecological services. And this is one of the main points. Another one is that I say that land, and is I also say that land and capital is still the major structural barrier, and that is why we have to say that we need more opportunities to get this land, to buy this land, and to get it somehow, to inherit. So the next crucial step is the implementation of kind of gender responsive budgeting in agricultural policy. All this public funding, they should analyze if what they offer gender equally or not, and how it can, what kind of access to resources, training, decision-making power they offer. Almost the last part is that all projects that we can have right now, it is around 1, 2, 3 years. And for such initiatives we have, it is not enough. You can't relax until you have to think, oh, okay, I have to write next grant and it is 10 days until I can submit this application. How you can think about restoration, about ecological services, if you all the time thinking about surviving? You can do it. That is why we really have to force somehow that such initiatives that support soil restoration, I don't know, social services, community supported, they should be learn supported, like at least 5 years, but the longer the better. And according these differences that Elsa, I think, is mentioned, that women are kind of separately, and all the making decisions are men usually make. And that was actually those things that my colleagues from another NGO told me, that men really wants to make this picture that women are engaged in something. They usually left for us to find some statistical data or to organize some events. And when we present it, it seems like we are in the middle of something, but it's not true. And this is the last step, that we really have to be possible to make decisions on very high level. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina. I will not resume this because it's so deep and so important, but also because I want us to go to the next question so that we can take the questions from the chat after this. So the third question and last is meant to look at the future, and is meant to look at our political actions, right? That we can coordinate amongst ourselves to change the situation. So the question goes, grounded in the right to food as a collective and political responsibility, what kind of alliances are needed to ensure that women's leadership, so all this capacity to transform food production, agriculture, and food systems, becomes structurally embedded and contributes to more just and peaceful food systems?
Okay. Well, I think that the alliances that we need is all the alliances that we can build together, because especially in this difficult situation that we have. But I think that taking the question, I agree that is the right to food is a collective and political responsibility, but we don't have the same level of responsibility than the governments, no? And we need to be clear on that, because the governments, they need to guarantee our human rights. Now, this means nothing, no, in this situation, but we cannot forget about this, no, because the main responsibility about the human rights and to guarantee the human rights is at government level. Other thing is, what are the tools, what are the mechanisms to work on that and to build the spaces or the mechanism to guarantee this, no? Because my perspective is not to delegate everything in the government. Actually, I think that the best way to do it is public and community structures, no? Because if we know that the governments change, so we know what happens every 4 years or something, sometimes less, but are different situations. So I think that we need to find a way to work together when we can with the institutions, but yes, at the same level, because they have the responsibility. We are right holders. We are one of our main challenges at global level is that we are not a stakeholder. No, we are right holder. Carrefour or others can be stakeholders, but we are right holders, and that cannot be at the same level, no, because we have a right to food, and also we need to be clear about the indivisibility of human rights, no, because I think it's very important to make visible that it's not possible to have right to food if we don't have other rights, no. So I think that we need to have a holistic approach, even if we work from our area of for our houses, no. And and this is especially important now because we are fighting for the right to food in Europe. We are with this campaign, and for me, one of the one thing that has been very tricky at global level and in United Nations has been the replacement that we have been living with the SDGs, replacing the human rights. No, now we are not anymore talking about the right to food. We are talking about the SDG 2, and I am not against the SDGs. The SDGs can be a tool, but SDGs are voluntary goals, and human rights are are legal tools. So and in many places we are living how the narratives, how some governments are very comfortable with the narrative of SDG because the responsibility is very different when you talk about SDG or when you talk about rights, no? So yeah, I think the alliances that we have are all that we can build to defend the rights in the situations that we are living, the human rights approach, because I think that we are living a very difficult situation. And also last week I was in Colombia and I was hearing Michael Fakri, the special reporter on right to food, no? And he said that UN died in Gaza, no? So because we are living how the UN and many agencies, not all. I recognize that are many people in FAO and in other spaces that are working very hard to maintain this. I'm not against that people, but you know that we are in very difficult situations, and we need to, is why we need more than ever these alliances to preserve, no, this approach on human rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isa. Quite a lot to unpack there, but it's very interesting to see also the connection with the global context and hopefully the continued domination of a legal-based and rights-based international system. Irina?
Yeah, I will try to be very short. I just want to stop on, like, because I would like to have all possible alliance, you know, in this case. But I think that there are some the most meaningful, at least right now. The first one is between science and communities. And the main reason for this is that scientific recognition transform local knowledge into policy relevant knowledge, and we need it. The second one is between financial sector in this our social economy, yeah, because we need any kind of solidarity-based insurance that can help farmers to recover after the conflicts, or to help those initiatives that really work on the, for example, near front line, because they stay there, they work there, and they feed people there, but like any minute they can have missile or drones or something like this, and they can die, or like you know, you never you it's not like, okay, no, we can plan right now. Even for one day, it's like you have new day, it is a miracle. And for agriculture, it's like a bit problematic to live like this. So we need this alliance between financial sectors who can support such people, even if they have no kind of access to big money. The third one is between farmers and citizens. I was dreamt about community supported agriculture in Ukraine, and I thought it will never happen. But exactly after the war started, it started to happen, because many times was that, for example, the farmer have to move with the cows, and they have no money on this very first time until they adapt and change everything, rebuild everything, and they start to ask people to help. And it was so sensitive and so kind when people kind of rent a car, cow. They could give their names, and they could have some milk from them after that, and the farm could survive like this. And people so like to be so engaged in this farm life that it's continued to happen right now. So unfortunately, in such conflict time or very unstable time, supported agriculture, community supported agriculture really can be the most strongest as ever. And the last talent that I really would like to offer probably right now is between Ukrainian organization, farms, Ukrainian expertise, and European organization and networks. And I think that like in many cases, Europe just think about all these changes that is that might happen or might not happen, but Ukraine already surviving it, and we really have a lot of experience to share. But also, it is already also happening, because when we needed help, we got help from European eco-villages organization, permaculture organization, and we still feel that support. And trust me, it's worth a lot, because it's give a lot of strength. So thank you so much for your support.
You're very welcome, Irina, and I wish we could do more, and I wish we keep remembering this, that you do need this support and recognition of your amazing work. I will close the roundtable by asking you to please have a look at the chat as well. There are some quite pinpointed questions, some for Isa, and one about care from Carla, but coming from the US context. And to conclude, I'm not gonna attempt a summary of this, but I will just bring two elements which I think are essential. The first one would be the need for fundamental transformation regarding the role of women in food systems, namely by focusing on the four pillars that Isa mentioned: the recognition of their work and contributions, the redistribution of work, the representation of the women in decision making. And I want to add to this that it's not just the cooperatives, but it's also political decision making at local level and all other levels. And then, of course, the remuneration, which needs to fit the work. And then from Irina, that a logical, or better yet, a transformation of the logic behind the agri-food system needs to happen, so that the value of what is produced is rather evaluated in relation to life and to sustainability and regeneration, rather than simply monetary gain and profit. Because as we've heard today, food is a human right, and it should be treated as such, so that we both get more sustainable food systems, but we also reinforce the idea that human rights are the basis of the political systems that we live in. And I do hope it continues to be so. So thank you very much, Isa and Irina. I do hope maybe you get to check the question. Sorry?
Only one thing, that maybe I will leave my contact in the chat, because there are some questions, and because the answer for some questions were some reports. So if people send me a message to me, I can share with the people the links of the reports. Only to...
That will be perfect. Thank you very much. And moving forward to the last section of this event, as I was saying in the beginning, I would like to invite you all at this point to support the Good Food for All European Citizens Initiative. So we'll have maybe 1 or 2 minutes if you would like to sign the European Citizens Initiative. You have there the links. I do encourage that you do sign it. 1 million signatures are needed until January next year. It's a long way to go, but by building the alliances that were mentioned here, and by distributing this, including in our direct everyday interactions in person with our networks and contacts, it will definitely help to reach this number of signatures. And of course, if you would like to further disseminate the European Citizens Initiative within your networks, that will also be very helpful. And to conclude, I would also like to invite you to the third event in our campaign, Communities for Future Good Food for All, which focuses on reclaiming local food economies, communities' wealth, territorial resilience, and the future of food in Europe, taking place on April the 7th from 1 to 2 and 2:30 p.m. CET. Again, feel free to share this invitation as well within your networks. We are looking forward to seeing you there. And like I mentioned, feel free to contact ECOLISE if you wish to get involved in our policy positionings on food systems. I hope you had a good event today that inspired you to continue the actions in your communities. I want to stress again the importance of communities and alliances in advancing this vision of a sustainable future through gender equality and sustainable and just food systems. And that said, the work goes on. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much all for being here.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Welcome. See you next time.
Goodbye.